Summary. I didn't have the same middle school experience as you, Shinsou says. I didn't become rivals with my childhood friend. Shinsou doesn't know who Kacchan really is to him. Izuku has spent so much time looking at Shinsou and relating to him that he forgot Shinsou wasn't looking back at him with that same recognition. Izuku takes a deep breath and starts. Kacchan and I aren't really childhood friends. Not really. Or, Shinsou finds out that Bakugou used to bully Midoriya. Izuku is squinting at the baking products and trying to remember if Sato needs more flour when Shinsou grabs the back of his sweatshirt. We've got to go, he hisses. Izuku blinks. Shinsou has gone pale. His eyes are fixed on something over Izuku's shoulder. He turns. There's no villain, no reporter, just a group of teenage boys lingering at the end of the aisle, their heads just visible over a display of energy drinks. What's wrong? Izuku asks. Shinsou doesn't answer. He swipes several bags of flour off the shelf and into their cart, and then grabs Izuku by the collar and hauls him towards the front of the store. Shinsou doesn't relax until they've paid, bagged their groceries, and rushed out of the store. It makes Izuku think Shigaraki is going to melt out of the shadows and try and kill them in the middle of the self-service checkout. When they're in the middle of the parking lot, Izuku shakes out of Shinsou's tight grip. What's going on? Nothing, Shinsou says, but he's still standing as if braced for a punch, and he keeps glancing over Izuku's shoulder. You're freaking me out. What did you see? Was it a villain? Do I need to call Aizawa-sensei? Shinsou huffs and starts walking towards Yue, not as quickly as he had left the store, but Izuku still has to jog to catch up with his long-legged friend. No villains, Shinsou says, not meeting Izuku's eyes. I saw some guys that went to my middle school. I didn't want to deal with them, okay? They weren't... Shinsou trails off, shifting uncomfortably. And again, Izuku can't help but think that, like this, shoulders hunched and gaze lowered, Shinsou looks like he's expecting to be struck. He thinks back to those teenagers laughing loudly as if nothing had ever taught them pain, and the way Shinsou had reached out for him immediately, the way he might have if he had spotted the League of Villains. They made life hard for you, Izuku says. Shinsou doesn't reply. He scowls and turns around, shoulders hunching even further. That's enough of an answer. You don't have to be scared of them anymore, Shinsou. You're a hero student. You proved them wrong. You think they're going to care? Shinsou snaps. How pathetic would that be, rushing over there and showing them my UAID? He scoffs, scrubbing a hand through his frazzled hair. It was never about whether I was good enough. It was just about making me feel like shit. Shinsou, Izuku says. I don't owe them. If anything, I owe it to my younger self to stay away from them and their bullshit. Izuku goes quiet. He had given himself the name Deku for the same reason, to tether the new, confident Midoriya Izuku to the quirkless kid with bruised knees that hid in the bathroom to eat lunch. But he was still trying, desperately, to prove something to Kacchan, wasn't he? He exhales. That's amazing. Shinsou eyes him. What? I wish I could think like that. Maybe I would have if... He shakes his head, pasting on a wry smile. It doesn't matter. I have to see Kacchan at UA every day. He laughs awkwardly. Shinsou scowls and steps back, and in that moment he looks like the angry Pharisee that was so determined not to be Izuku's friend. Those guys weren't my childhood friends, Midoriya. I know. I didn't have the same middle school experience as you, Shinsou says. I didn't become rivals with my childhood friend. Hell, I'd be lucky if my old classmates still didn't think of me as a would-be villain. Izuku's grip on the grocery bag tightens. The milk sloshes loudly inside. Shinsou doesn't know who Kacchan really is to him. He'd spent so much time looking at Shinsou and relating to him that he forgot that Shinsou isn't looking back at him with that same recognition. Izuku takes a deep breath and starts. Kacchan and I aren't childhood friends. We were, I guess, back when we were toddlers. But when we started school, we stopped being friends. He became the most popular kid in school, and I learned how to hide in grocery stores when I saw him and my other classmates, because I knew how much it would hurt if they spotted me. You don't have to prove anything to them. I think it's great that you're moving on and focusing on yourself and not giving them the time of day, but everyone isn't always going to see you as a villain. You're not trapped as that middle schooler that everyone looked down on. You're so much more. And if they still think you're no good, then fuck them. Shinsou blinks. Silence stretches on long enough that Izuku begins to fidget and regret ever opening his mouth. Then Shinsou says, "You swore." "I swear all the time," Izuku huffs. "Still feels weird to hear it coming from you, cinnamon roll." Shinsou starts walking towards Yue again. Izuku hastens to catch up. The store and the empty parking lot shrinks behind them. "So, you and Bakugou," Shinsou says slowly, "aren't childhood friends?" Izuku winces. I always think of us as childhood friends. Our past is just more, complicated. I used to hide from him after school, and before school, and during school, and his lunch breaks, bathroom stall locked and feet propped up on the toilet in case Kacchan spotted his red sneakers on the cubicle. "So, what?" Shinsou says. "You're saying he was just like my old classmates?" "Well, what were your old classmates like?" Shinsou stares flatly at him. Right. Of course he's not going to volunteer that information first. Shinsou doesn't like talking about his past if he can help it. Izuku supposes they're similar in that regard. They turn onto a new street. There are no other students in sight, just Izuku and Shinsou and the silence stretching between them. Izuku stares at his shoes, fumbling for the right words. He's never said any of it out loud before. "Our parents forced us together when we were young," he says. "We were neighbours in the same age, so it made sense that we would become friends. And we were, for a while. Kacchan has always been amazing. I really looked up to him, you know? That 3-year-old Izuku that looked at Kacchan with stars in his eyes never died. It never will, he thinks. He can still feel that childish love in his chest sometimes, when Kacchan is burning especially bright. But then Kacchan decided that he was too far above me," Izuku goes on. "He didn't like that I would step in to help other kids when he was picking on them." "Hero," Shinsou says, and it almost sounds fond. "I couldn't stop him," Izuku confesses, "but I could take his attention away from them. So he started beating on you instead?" Izuku grimaces. "Well, yeah, basically." Shinsou stops in the middle of the sidewalk. A pair of women almost slam into him, swerving quickly to avoid him. Izuku drags them away from the middle of the path so they aren't blocking the foot traffic. Shinsou barely seems to register any of it. "Bakugou has been beating you up for 10 years, he says, eyes wide. Izuku pulls the groceries close, creating a barrier between him and Shinsou. Yeah. Please tell me you gave as good as you got," Shinsou says. "That asshole deserves a superpowered punch to the face." Izuku drags in a deep breath. He knew this was coming. It was unavoidable. "No," he says, keeping his voice even as he can. "I couldn't fight back. He was a lot stronger than me, and my quirk didn't develop until I was in middle school." He peeks up at Shinsou through his fringe, gauging his reaction. Shinsou's face is unreadable. "I thought I was quirkless. So did everyone else, including Bakugou." Shinsou looks away, jaw working, and takes a moment to digest that. Izuku still can't understand the expression on his face. "There was a quirkless girl in the year above me," Shinsou says at last. "I saw the way she was treated. It made me glad I was born with a quirk, even if it was a villainous one." "Your quirk isn't villainous." Shinsou doesn't roll his eyes to hide his pleased smile the way he normally might. It's like he didn't even hear Izuku's words. "Were you treated the same way she was?" Well, I don't know," Izuku says. "How was she treated?" Shinsou stares evenly back at him. "If you were a quirkless kid, you would know." Izuku drops his gaze, his face prickles with heat, and he's not sure if the feeling is triggered by years-old shame rushing back or the intensity of Shinsou's gaze. "I bet no one wanted to get close to her, but everyone knew who she was. Terrible things were written on her desk in marker. Ugly rumors were always circulating about her. Her things went missing all the time, and the teachers never did anything about it." Shinsou scoffs. "Of course they didn't. Don't even know competent teachers existed until I came to UA." "Yeah," Izuku confesses. "Me too. Aizawa's something else, isn't he?" "Does he know?" Shinsou asks. He's not sure whether Shinsou is talking about Izuku's past or Bakugou's role in it. Either way, the answer is the same. "No. All Might knows, though. And he hasn't done anything." "What is there to do?" Izuku asks. "The past is the past. All Might has done enough by giving him a quirk and helping Izuku come as far as he has. Not that he can tell Shinsou that." They walk another few streets in silence. The tension has melted off Shinsou, and now he just seems pensive, staring off into the distance. Izuku has to grab him to keep him from walking into traffic when they come to an intersection, and Shinsou doesn't even scowl at him for invading his personal space. Finally, Shinsou breaks the silence. "You never told me what Bakugou did." "I did," Izuku says defensively. "I want specifics." He doesn't know why Shinsou really wants to know, or what he's going to do with the information, but he's opened this door now. He can't close it. Years of mistreatment pushes up his throat, and he finds he actually wants to let it all out. "He didn't let anyone get near me," Izuku begins. "He was the top student, and he made sure everyone knew I was on the bottom of the food chain. He came up with my childhood nickname, Deku. That's another way to read Izuku. It means worthless, or it did before it became my hero name." "Ballsy," Shinsou says. Izuku smiles shyly back. "Thanks." "What else?" How does he put 10 years worth of memories into words? "I don't know. He'd steal my stuff and destroy it sometimes, especially my hero journals. He really didn't like the idea that I wanted to be a hero. He would use his quirk on me. That wasn't fun. He rubs at his forearm, remembering the concentrated pain of Kacchan's explosions, the welts that would bloom like fireworks on his pale skin. Shinsou breathes out roughly. Bastard. Oh. Izuku finally realizes what the look on Shinsou's face is. Anger. Shinsou is furious on his behalf, because of what Bakugou did to him. Huh, he thinks. The rest of the walk back to UA is quiet and tense. Izuku doesn't break the silence until the dorms are in sight. "You won't," he begins, twisting the bag's handles around his fingers. You won't tell anyone about..." "No," Shinsou says shortly. Izuku swallows. "Okay, thanks." And that's that. The discussion is closed for now. A part of him is glad he was finally able to tell someone, and it was someone who could understand. He loves his classmates, but they all grew up with great, or at least acceptable, quirks. If Izuku told him that he was quirkless, he's not sure whether they would truly know what that meant. Another part of him feels raw and exposed, as if by telling Shinsou he has ripped himself open. He shoves that thought down. He's here, at his dream school, and he isn't allowed to fixate on the past. When they return to the dorms, they are swarmed by their classmates. The grocery bags are hoisted out of their arms and carried to the kitchen by eager hands. "We have been saved," Ashido says, ripping open a packet of potato chips and stuffing a handful into her mouth. "We just got what was on the list," Izuku says. Kaminari reaches into the bag and grabs a fistful of chips. "Thank you for my life, Mido." Bakugou stands up from the couch, scowling, English textbook tucked under one arm. "You know how bad that crap is for you? Aren't you idiots trying to be heroes? Don't ruin this for me, man." Shinsou's arms are now free of groceries. He pushes past Izuku, rolls up his sleeves, and now without any warning, punches Bakugou full in the mouth. The impact sends Bakugou stumbling back, his textbook flying. Everyone in the living area drops what they are doing and lunges for them. Izuku manages to yank Shinsou back before he can hit Bakugou again. "What the fuck was that?" Bakugou demands, bucking against Kaminari and Ojiro's hands. "Didn't feel so good, did it?" Shinsou says. "I'll show you how it felt. I think you've heard enough people here." Shinsou spits, and all at once Bakugou goes slack, eyes glazing over. "Now, go outside and..." Izuku slams a hand over Shinsou's mouth. "Shinsou, stop!" Their eyes meet. This isn't your decision to make. All the fighting drains out of Shinsou. Izuku reluctantly lets him go. "Hero," Shinsou says. He needs to get better insults, Izuku thinks. "You have to get involved in everyone's problems, but no one can get involved in yours." "Yes," he wants to say. Izuku feels like he's going to vibrate out of his hoodie, adrenaline pulsing beneath his skin. Their classmates watch them warily. They can tell that something had happened between the walk to the grocery store and back, but they don't know what or how Bakugou factors into it. "Shinsou," Momo says, "you can't attack your classmates like that, or use your quirk without permission." "I know," Shinsou says. "I have to inform Aizawa-sensei." She glances between the three of them. "Unless there's a reason I shouldn't?" "No. Tell him. I don't care." Shinsou spins on his heel and strides out of the dorms. Izuku runs after him. Just as the door is swinging shut behind them, he hears the telltale echo of explosions. Shinsou must have dropped his quirk. You shouldn't have done that, Izuku says, hurrying to catch up with Shinsou. Shinsou shrugs. Yeah, maybe not. Felt pretty good, though. Have you tried it? Izuku startles himself by laughing. Yeah, actually. And it does feel pretty good. The door slams open. Bakugou marches out, explosions popping in his palms. His lip is split. Izuku wonders if he will go to Recovery Girl and get it healed, or if he'll walk around with a busted lip all week. What the fuck was that? Bakugou says. You wanna fight? Let's fucking fight. I'll turn you into paste. Their classmates hover behind them. Momo slides around them and dashes towards the staff rooms to find Aizawa. Bakugou, Kaminari says, hands up. Dude, a teacher will be here soon. Chill out. Fuck off, Pikachu. This doesn't concern you. Kacchan, Izuku says, I'm sorry. I told Shinsou some things that upset him. That's all. Don't apologize to him, Shinsou snaps. He doesn't deserve it. Huh? What's that supposed to mean, you homeless-looking motherfucker? It means, Shinsou says, stepping past Izuku and into Bakugou's face, that you owe Midoriya an apology for all the shit you put him through. Bakugou stops. His hands drop, explosions cutting off all at once. He stares past Shinsou at Izuku. Shinsou, you shouldn't get involved in other people's personal issues, Ojiro says. Shut up, Bakugou snaps. Izuku thinks he's talking to Shinsou, but then Bakugou turns around to glare at the students clustered by the door, teeth bared. This is none of your business, get lost. Kind of is our business if you turn our classmates into dust, Jiro points out. Aizawa will be pissed if we just let that happen. How much did you tell him? Bakugou asks Izuku. Everything, Shinsou says. Izuku winces. He makes a vague gesture in the air. Some of it. I didn't tell him about One for All, he doesn't say. I didn't tell him about the time you dumped cold soup on me in front of our entire 4th grade class. I didn't tell him about the time you found me crying on the rooftop with my shoes off, and you didn't do anything. Just left, like you were giving me the space to get it over with. Shinsou gapes at him. There's more? It's okay, Izuku says. Is it? Shinsou demands, and he's getting properly angry now, his pale skin flushing a splotchy red. Is it really okay? No, Bakugou says, before Izuku can say yes. It's not. Their eyes meet. Izuku can hardly breathe. It was never okay. That's not an apology, Shinsou says. Fuck off, I'm not saying shit in front of you losers. Your pride really matters after anything you've done? You really are a piece of shit. Aizawa arrives then, followed by a sheepish Momo. He looks unimpressed when he sees Shinsou flush and almost feral, Bakugou with a split lip and something deep and dark in his eyes, and Izuku wavering between them. What's going on here? Aizawa asks. Nothing, Bakugou says quickly. We were just talking. Uh-huh. And that's why you're bleeding? Bakugou wipes his lip with the back of his sleeve. I bit my lip. It's my fault. All of it. Aizawa takes them all in for a long moment. His gaze settles back on Bakugou, who stares resolutely back, something almost submissive in the curve of his shoulders. Izuku expects to get a week's worth of detention, but Aizawa just nods and says, Get back inside. You have a test on Monday that you should be studying for. Everyone scrambles back into the dorms before Aizawa can change his mind. Bakugou makes for the stairs as soon as they're inside, disappearing up them with Kaminari hot on his heels. Ashido grimaces. I'm going to call Kirishima, she says before following them. In the awkward silence that follows, Shinsou collapses onto the couch, looking exhausted. Midoriya, I'm sorry. I know it was your fight, No one's ever stood up for me like that. Izuku sits beside him, their shoulders brushing. You know that makes us friends for real, right? There's no denying it. Shinsou snorts, a tired smile pulling his lips. Yeah, I guess so. It wasn't an apology, they didn't even have a proper conversation. But it was never okay, plays on a loop in his head, followed shortly by, it's my fault, all of it. Shinsou is beside him, and he knows and he understands, and that's more than Izuku had before today. It's enough, he thinks. It's enough.